Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel for some more talk about Project Zomboid's upcoming NPCs. The last video I did was following a blog post that covered the dev team's plans for how NPCs are going to work, so in this video I want to use that and expand upon it to throw some suggestions out there of what I would like to see and some speculation on what we could see based on what's already been confirmed. Now if you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing to the channel for a whole bunch more Zomboid videos just like this, or leave it a like to support the channel for free. So, a bit of a recap on what we know already. Now we know that the NPCs are going to have a detailed framework behind them in which NPCs will start their story at the beginning of the apocalypse, interact with other characters and events, and be changed by the events that occur both on and off the player's visible screen. I did a video on this not too long ago, so if you want a bit more of a detailed breakdown on that, it will be one of the videos that I show on the end screen of this video. We also know that we're likely to see NPCs that can fight, join our group, drive vehicles, loot, and generally do all the things that we would expect to see from players. There's also talk from the devs, although it's still in the early stages, of a job system where NPCs can perform tasks on our behalf. This is what I would consider to be the absolute essential building blocks of NPCs in an open world game. We get some background and character development, and they're useful to the player, but there's something I'd love to see that I think would further both of these aspects, and for me, that's individual traits for NPCs. It would bring the characters to life even further. Each one could have an occupation and a handful of traits. Maybe some are random and others complement their occupation before the apocalypse started. Similar to games like RimWorld, this would bring value to having certain NPCs in your settlement if this is something that the developers have planned, but it's also just to give them a bit more life. You might have someone that was previously a surgeon, which makes them invaluable to your settlement, but is more prone to panic, for example. Or someone that has military training but sometimes creates issues with other settlement members due to their hostility towards outsiders. All in all, I think this would add another layer to managing your settlement and also provide you with a little story as well. On the topic of story, while we're at it, something that isn't necessarily integral but would still add a lot of life to the game would be things like diaries, journals, and notes. The important thing for me with this one would be variety. If this was going to be added, there would need to be a huge amount of randomly generated notes for people to find to keep things from getting stale. The time investment on this one might outweigh the desire for a feature like this, but Project Zomboid is one hell of an immersive game, and done right, this could add a lot to that feeling of being in a zombie apocalypse where others have treaded the same ground as you. In a similar vein, there's something that was suggested on my Discord when I brought the question of what do you want to see in NPCs to my community that I really liked the sound of, and that's identification. This could easily tie in with a lot of other systems that NPCs would have, but the idea behind this is that if we find a body of an NPC, there's a good chance we might find something like a driver's license in their wallet for us to identify who that person is. Maybe a patch carried by a settlement with their logo so that we know where they came from. You know, you get the idea. The main reason I think something like this could add value comes down to how it would integrate with other areas of the game. I mean, sure, it'll add a certain depth just to find the ID belonging to an NPC you interacted with earlier in the game, but there's so much more that this system could add. For example, you could take someone's ID card back to their family to give them some closure and increase your reputation with the settlement that they're part of. Maybe certain people will send you out in search of a friend that went missing in a certain location, and the ID is what you need to bring back as proof that they've fallen in combat. Or, on the darker side of it, maybe a faction would pay you to bring them back ID from NPCs that are part of a settlement they're rivaled with, sort of like a bounty hunting mechanic. Hopefully I've articulated this right, but this would be a great platform to further develop NPC characters and relations. Another one from my Discord community, next we've got emotions and emotional reactions from NPCs. Again, comparing to RimWorld here, it's important that NPCs aren't considered robots. They need to have simulated feelings in response to events around them. For example, seeing another survivor they considered to be a friend perish in front of them might provoke both an immediate reaction and a long-term emotional response too. In the moment, they might fight harder to survive and be more effective in combat for the next couple of minutes, but once they're back to safety, the grieving process starts and they could be upset or depressed, causing them to spend less time doing helpful tasks and more time spent alone with their thoughts. As with some of the other other items already brought up in this video, this would add yet another layer to NPCs and make settlement management a real priority for you. The player would need to find ways to try and combat certain emotions in NPCs to get the best results from them. Now, the next couple of things that I want to talk about might be on the developers' minds already, I'm really not sure, but we've had some talk about settlements already on blogs in passing, so I'm thinking something like this might be in the works. But anyway, the next one I wanted to cover was factions. Factions forming as time passes, settlements growing larger, and naturally different sorts of relationships forming between these factions could be a really interesting dynamic for both multiplayer and single player setups. Factions going head to head, others working together to trade valuable resources, that sort of thing. Not only would this create the feeling of a developing and living world, but also provides a platform for a reputation system. And tying in with this reputation and faction setup, a mission or quest system would be something that could add a wealth of longevity to the gameplay loop of Project Zomboid, in my opinion. This sort of thing is going to force you to go to locations you otherwise wouldn't, take risks to achieve your goals for the promise of a worthwhile reward, and ultimately it will get your heart racing. Now, the last one that I want to include in this video is one that I'm still on the fence about, but essentially it's the ability to take over in a friendly NPC's shoes in the event that your primary character dies. The main reason I put the thought into this idea is because we know the Project Zomboid devs want to make the gameplay loop a lot longer and ultimately have the game last for years before a reset is needed. And with that in mind, single player games don't tend to last that long on average, so the addition of being able to take over a friendly NPC might be something to add to the sandbox settings. It would give a bit more of a beginner friendly way to progress through the game, but of course the veterans could turn this off if it wasn't for them. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. So that's it from me in this video, but I'm really curious to hear what you guys would like to see in NPCs, having watched this video yourself. We've all got ideas, and sharing these between each other and having meaningful discussion can really help the developers consider what their audience is after. I'd love to do some more videos like this in the future where we discuss the things the community would like to see, so if you're up for that, subscribe to the channel to get involved with more videos like this. Special thank you to all my patrons for supporting the channel, playing on our whitelisted Project Zomboid server with me and the community, and if you'd like to join, the link is in the description. Thanks guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.